Hi, everybody. What y'all doing? Happy Tuesday. I'm 93% sure Tuesday's today's date. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Let's see who we got here in the chat. I see Momo, hello. Lupe, hello. Shamida, hello. Tony, hello. Crackling Rosie True Crime, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Y'all ready to get back to this or what? I don't know what Momo's doing over here. She doesn't have an avatar and I can't hear you if you are talking, Mo. So might have to go out and come back in, babe, because we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Now I can.
I was on mute. I don't know what happened with my avatar. I had to put my name in and everything. Hold on, I'll go out and come back.
You don't have to if you don't want to. I just thought maybe you weren't really here. You know how sometimes that is, how sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
All right. All right. So, did everybody have a good Valentine's Day yesterday? I hope you did. I'm sorry my thing was so late last night. I let me see this. Okay. I was having some technical troubles as far as like for whatever reason, like downloading it. Hey Rochelle, hey Sam. Downloading it took forever. And then I wasn't happy with some parts of it, so I had to redo it. And you know how that goes. It just took a while. So sorry about that. Um, it being so late at night for the East Coasters on a weekday. I apologize. Amelia, hello. There you are, Mo. Okay, now I can see you just fine. Perfect. Hello, Allie. Hello, hello. Glad to see everybody's back. So, tonight we're going to go over the testimony of I'm just gonna call her Abby because I'm not exactly. I think it's Abby Wisniewski.
Aubrey.
Sorry, Aubrey Wisniewski, the coworker of Alex's. And that's like 30 minutes. So then we'll, I'm sure, have another one to do after that.
Crime scene reconstructionist is after that.
Let me look and see how long that is because that's only an hour. We could, yeah. Because then the next one is the forensic scientist, and that's like a two-parter. So we'll do part one night. Okay. Okay, good. All right, perfect. So yeah, that's just about where we are with everything.
The new stickers.
Oh yeah. Oh, yes, we got new stickers. Thank you for reminding me, Mo, and thank you for using them, Sam. Yes, and I gave you guys new badges too. I'm still monkeying around with them because you know how like, well, maybe you don't. Not I know from not personal experience, but from the Googles. Like you get like a 30-day hold, a 60-day hold. I'm working on that. I'm going to add like for the when you hit a month or whatever, that's I'm going to change it, like that. So everybody knows you're long-term residents at the ward. So I just was trying to see today like how I could do it. And I got distracted by I was watching this documentary my daughter recommended on HBO Max. It's called A Life of Crime, and it basically follows these, let's see, 1, 2, 3 people from I think from New Jersey, I think it is. And anyway, follows them from 1984 to 2020. And so it's really a fascinating documentary. Like I don't know, it was just interesting. The fact that they allowed cameras to film them for all that time, was interesting to me, and what they were allowed to film was also interesting to me. So I was
Oh, I
watching
haven't
that.
heard of that.
Yeah, I hadn't either. My daughter was telling me about it. She's like, "Oh, mom," well, she says it the right way, but she heard about it from the Tickety Talks. And so I was like, "Oh, well, if the Tickety Talks are approving it, it must be good." So I watched it. Yeah. So you guys should check that out. I'm sure you guys can find it other places. I just know that it's for sure is on HBO Max. It's really good. It's really good, actually. Sad but good. So that's
What's
what
it
I was
called
doing
again?
today. A Life of Crime.
All right, I'm writing it down.
Okay. Yeah. Follows these people from 1984. And the one guy that they follow named Rob, this is what was distracting to me this whole time I was watching this. I know that I've seen him in something else somewhere before, and it was bothering me the whole time. And then then it was time to make dinner, so I was like, oh well, I'll just Google that later. So I'm gonna Google that later. Like, that has nothing to do with really anything. That's just, how my brain works. Okay, so let's get it started.
Let's get it started.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Yeah. Why do you
I
do
knew.
that to me, Mo? You know that I have to finish the lyrics. I just want.
I knew that was gonna
It's
happen.
too much for me. Y'all know that I walk around the house at least 3 times a week singing Kyle's Mom. I change the lyrics sometimes too, depending on what's going on in my life. Different people are a big old bitch with stupid hair. Bitch to all the boys and girls. My daughter likes to say, Mom. That's what she does. She
I'd put
doesn't
her
mean
on.
it.
You could probably put her on 1.25.
1.25, you say?
Yes, I say.
All righty. 1.25 it is, Mo. All right, y'all ready? Here we go.
Please, and spell your name for the court reporter.
My name's Aubrey Wisniewski, AubreyWisniewski.
Thank you,
And how are you
Amelia and
currently employed,
Rochelle.
ma'am?
I'm a mess.
I work at a restaurant in Appleton, Wisconsin.
All right. And how long have you worked there?
I've worked there about 2 months.
All right. And were you employed in March of 2018?
Hold on.
Yes,
How were you employed in March of 2018?
I worked at Racy Delaney's Coffee Lounge in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
And did you
Okay. I had to push pause there because I wasn't actually sure if I was saying what I thought I was saying because it was sped up. I didn't realize she makes a little face at the end of each sentence. And it caught me a little off guard because I'm just going to say this. Look, I thought it was sped up and I thought maybe I was having some type of flashback, or maybe I licked something I thought was a stamp, but that wasn't a stamp. But I just, okay, now that I understand, now that I've
That's why I didn't tell you.
I appreciate, thanks, Mel. So now that I understand that I see what I thought I saw that's actually happening, I can now go back to playing it. Pardon the interruption. Okay, here
have
we
any
go.
specific position at Racy's?
I started as just a barista at first and then became a manager and was the manager for 3 years.
All right. And were you the manager as of March of 2018?
Yes, I was.
I knew I shouldn't have ate those mushrooms on my burger. Just kidding.
Now, Ms. Wisniewski, as the manager in March of 2018, what were your general duties?
I made the schedule. I stocked when after hours. I just had to control the employees, really.
Okay. And were you the one who would have scheduled the employees that would have been working on March 22nd of 2018?
Yes, it was me.
And Do you recall who was scheduled to work that day?
I don't recall offhand.
All right. Would your memory have been better at the time when you were interviewed in March of 2018?
Yes.
All right. And do you think reviewing a report of the interview that was conducted of you in March of 2018 would refresh your memory as to who was employed?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, we just don't.
Report, Your Honor.
Ah, there you go. You already approached her.
Just showing you a document. I want you to take a look at it for a second, and I'm going to take it away and ask if it refreshes your memory as to who was working on that particular day.
Okay.
Does that refresh your memory?
It does.
Who was working on March 22nd, 2018?
It does.
And who was working on that day?
According to that, it says Ariel Wisniewski.
Objection, that's hearsay. If memory's actually refreshed, that's not.
All right, sustained and
Right. Do
Phrasing.
you remember it at this point in time?
My
Now
sister,
that it's away, do you have independent, do you remember who was working? If you don't, that's fine.
I don't.
Okay, that's fine. Was your memory good at the time that you were interviewed
Hey,
by law
coolest
enforcement?
reviews.
Yes,
And did you provide them with accurate information at that point in time?
I did.
All right. And do you have any reason to believe that the information in the report that you saw is inaccurate as to what happened?
I don't.
What you told them?
I don't.
Are you familiar with Alex Woodworth, or were you familiar with him?
Yes, I was.
How did you become familiar with Alex Woodworth?
He was hired on as an employee at Racy's while I was working there by another manager.
Did you become familiar with him before he was hired?
Yes, he was a regular before he was hired.
All right. And how long approximately before Alex's death in March of 2018 was he hired to work at Racy's?
About a year and some change.
Okay. And how would you describe Alex as a person?
Objection, 90404.
Your Honor, I believe it goes, shall we approach?
all right, go ahead.
Ms. Wisniewski, specifically as to Alex's, can you tell us whether or not you would describe him as a peaceful person, a violent person, something in between?
I would say I never saw him get angry once.
Right. And did you ever see him do anything that would be considered violent?
No.
Did you ever hear him discuss violence or an interest in violence?
Never.
Do you recall when the last time that you saw Alex was approximately?
It was about 3 days before he passed.
And how was he at that point in time?
He seemed himself.
Was he upbeat or was he down, depressed?
I can't recall the exact emotion.
Aw, thank you, Amy. You're always so sweet and so supportive.
Were you familiar with the defendant in this case?
She
No,
probably
not
shouldn't
very
be
much.
listening
Okay.
to this
Did you ever see her
anyways.
in
We don't want
Racy's?
her
Yes, just as a regular.
to
All right.
shape her. We don't want
And,
this to shape her worldview.
Would you ever give her a free coffee while she was there?
I-
Irrelevant.
Minutes.
I had before, but mostly other employees would do so.
And also, Amy, you matter. You matter
And-
a lot. I love it when you come in.
How long prior to his death? I know you said that Alex worked at Racy's for a year and change before his death. How long did you know him? How long had he been coming in?
Oh, probably about 2.5 years I knew him.
And when you say he was a regular, what do you mean by that?
There almost daily,
Is that even before he started to work there?
even after he started to work there.
All right. And when he would come, would he stay for a couple minutes?
Hours.
I'm sorry?
Hours.
All right. And what would he do while he was there?
He was mostly on his computer watching shows or just sitting in a corner by himself, maybe reading.
Is that something that's unusual for people to be there long periods of time?
No, not
Objection,
at all.
irrelevant.
Overruled.
And do you see the individual who you talked about as being the defendant in court here today?
Yes.
Could you point her out by where she's seated and what she's wearing?
To the left of Aaron Nelson, wearing glasses and a pink blazer.
To your
That's
left?
Yeah, my left.
All right. Record will reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant, Mr. McCandless.
I don't have any other questions for Ms. Wisniewski.
Okay. Any cross-examination?
Yes, please. Ms. Wisniewski, did I pronounce that?
Wisniewski.
Wisniewski. Were you at Racy's on March 22nd?
I was not.
Alex was a friend of yours.
Yes.
You liked him.
Yes.
Do you know who Jason Mangle is?
Yes.
Fair to say he's not a friend of yours.
Right.
He's someone you, for lack of a better term, didn't like.
Had indifferent feelings.
You've talked to the police before about this, is that right?
Yes.
And in those talks with the police, as you already went through, you were honest with them.
Yes.
You told them what you felt.
Yes.
Told them what you saw.
Yes.
And this was back a year and a half ago, around March of 2018 and April of 2018, when you were meeting with the police, is that right?
Right.
And when you met with the police back then, you told them about your feelings for Jason Mangle, right?
Right.
I'm sorry, objection.
What is the objection?
Character evidence, Your Honor, 90404 again.
90616 bias.
All right. I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead. You can answer.
Thank you. So back in April of 2018, when you spoke with the police, you were talking to them about Jason Mangle, right?
Right.
And you told them then that you disliked Jason. Agreed?
Objection, relevance.
I do not recall,
Hold
but
on,
he's
don't-
not a friend.
Oh, please don't answer until I ruled on the objection. So I think you've already answered it. I'm going to overrule the objection, so the answer will stand. Go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
And I would ask that Mr. Nelson please speak into the microphone. I'm having some difficulty hearing him, so if you could please speak into the microphone.
All right. Well, why don't you move it a little bit closer there? Thank you.
At this point, I did not hear, because there was crosstalk, what her answer was. Could Your Honor, the court reporter, read that back?
Go ahead. You can.
You just want her answer?
Yes, please.
She said, I don't recall, but he's not a friend.
Fair to say that you told the police you've never liked Jason?
Objection, Your Honor. It's not bias of a witness. It has to be, and this is 90616, it has to be for purposes of attacking the credibility of a witness, evidence of bias, prejudice, or interest of the witness
Judge,
or
objection.
against any party in
Hold on.
cases
We
of
can only have one talk at a time.
Are we going to have speaking objections? I didn't know that we were going to do speaking objections in front of the jury.
All right. Well, I also need my statute book if somebody has it. So,
I'll grab.
but frankly, I don't think we need to have an extensive discussion on this. I do believe it goes, thank you, to bias of the witness. So I'm going to overrule the objection.
Thank you. What I was asking, Aubrey, when you spoke with the police back in the spring of 2018, you told them you never liked Jason. Agreed?
Agreed.
You knew at that point that this young lady next to me, Ezra McCandless, was dating Jason, the man you didn't like. Agreed?
I didn't believe they were together at that time.
You knew that at some point Ezra McCandless was dating Jason Mangle, the man you didn't like. Agreed?
Objection, relevance.
And what is the relevance?
Can we approach? I mean,
All right, let's do a sidebar. I don't want to have the jury going in and out. Every other question here.
you spoke with Alex about his relationships. Agreed?
Not often.
You had heard from Alex that he was dating a boy.
No, I didn't.
Did he tell you that he had a boy that was trans that he was dating?
My sister told me.
So you learned that he was dating a boy.
Correct.
Your Honor, I guess I'm going to object to double hearsay at this point, so.
When you spoke with the police, you told them that you spoke with Alex about, Alex had always talked about having a relationship with a trans male. Is that what you told the police?
I don't recall.
And you told the police that you later found out that the trans male that Alex had been talking about dating was Ezra McCandless.
Okay.
Yes?
I don't recall.
And this trans boy that Alex said that he was dating, he was bragging about how much sex he was having with that boy.
I don't recall.
He was telling you that he was tired from all of the sex that he had with that boy.
I don't believe that was me.
And you didn't know at the time, when Alex was alive, that the trans boy that he was referring to was Ezra McCandless, the woman next to me, did you? You didn't
I
know
don't
her, did you?
recall.
Alex was secretive about his relationship with Ezra?
Right.
He didn't tell anybody else about that, did he?
He told my sister and my sister told me.
Okay. But he wasn't open about that. Agreed?
Not with me.
Did you learn about other secrets that Alex kept?
Objection, relevance.
I don't know
Sustained.
what that means.
Are you familiar with Alex's journals?
I knew that he wrote.
Did he ever share what his writings were about?
Objection, relevance.
I'm going to overrule on that one.
Did he ever share what his writings were about?
I have a few of his school writings that I've kept, but other than that, I didn't read his journals. No. I would let him
Hey,
read mine.
Vincent's missing ear.
So
Hey,
I
I would let
Rita.
him read mine.
They
You
were
guys
private,
snuck in
right?
here.
They were in some ways secret, right?
Sure.
And they were only to be shared with certain people, as some secrets are.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to sustain the.
Calls for speculation.
There you go.
So if you just, I'm going to sustain, we'll leave it there. Go ahead, Mr. Nelson, with the next question.
You're not familiar with his private secret journal writings, agreed?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
Those are the questions. Thank you.
Any redirect?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, thank you, Ms. Wisniewski. You may step down. And is there any reason she cannot be excused?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, Ms. Wisniewski, you're free to go. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe that there are any additional witnesses today. We are going to begin the testimony tomorrow morning at 8:30. So we want you back here early enough to be ready to go at 8:30. We'll try to start right on time. I do also, again, want to admonish you again. It's very, very important that you not read anything about this case or watch any television coverage or listen to anything on the radio regarding this coverage or anything on the internet. Do not do any research.
Hey, Mo, there's still time left on the video. What's after this?
The outside of the presence of the jury.
Ooh.
See where it says it?
Okay, listen, lady. If I saw that it said that, do you think that I'd be asking you?
I saw you going forward. And I was like, she
I
must
didn't
not see that.
I didn't see it. Listen, Your Honor, I'd
No,
like to take the court to have juror number 4 removed
full.
due to her
They're gonna-
spicy attitude. Juror number 4 times a year.
He's going to go over the sidebars and objections.
Oof.
It's very interesting.
I
But
know.
it's up to you how you want to do it. That's why I put it on there so you'd know.
Okay. It's not going to be up to me alone. I can't make this decision alone. If you guys want to hear the arguments in the sidebars, put a 1. If you think we should not hear it today and wait till the end after we've heard all of the things, made our verdict, and then like how we did with whatchamacallit. Yes, Mo, we know you wanted to put number 1. How we like did all like the summarizing of the case in Todd Mullis. We could do it that way too. Whoever wants to. Okay. All right. Let's see who else. I got 3 1s so far. I'm up for either way. I really don't care. Well, thank you, Amy. We just I don't think it's necessary. We ain't got to have all that drama. It ain't necessary. We can focus on the people and the hey Max. We can focus on the people and the cases that we're covering. No need to focus on other people. They create these people in the cases give us a plethora of things to discuss. We don't have to outsource.
I agree. I think
All
that's
right.
why
Go ahead.
true,
No, go ahead.
true crime people like drama so much, because true crime really is drama.
Yeah, it is.
But
It
I
is
would
drama.
much
I'd rather
prefer that drama.
right. Like I would much rather have this kind of drama in the cases, like the case drama,
Yes.
not other people drama, that kind of
I
stuff.
agree.
Okay. All right. So we're going to play it. Here we go. Let's hear these arguments.
I never win any.
or look at anything on social media. To be on the safe side, maybe you just stay away from that, find something else to look at or read or listen to. As it, again, it's very important that you as members of the jury don't contaminate yourselves with any other information that, as I gave you that instruction yesterday,
Mo is contaminating
that,
us right
may
now with this.
confuse
We're
you
not
or
supposed to be
conflate
hearing
what
nothing
you
after
hear
this.
here in court. You must decide
We're
this
all
case based on the
contaminated
evidence
now.
received in this proceeding,
Okay.
and not base it on any other information. Don't do any other research for the evening. Okay, all rise.
Goodbye.
Okay, if
There
I
we
stand,
go.
Judge.
That's fine. I just want to take up, I guess, in reverse order, the most recent sidebar,
I don't know why he
423,
always stands.
during Ms.
It's so
Wisniewski's
awkward.
testimony.
Because it's
Um,
those
I don't know,
chairs are
counsel,
not comfortable.
I don't
Back
remember whose
problems.
objection it
I know,
was,
but
but
he's like the only
I
one.
believe that
It's
it was Mr.
weird.
DeFore's objection.
Maybe he has back problems.
And Mr. Nelson, do you want to be heard on that? Make a record?
No, Judge, I think, I'm not sure which side. I think I objected at one point about recorded recollection, and Your Honor sustained that.
Okay, I'll
We're
get to
like
that one.
Bob
I'll do
from
that
The
one next,
Walking
but-
Dead.
Okay, sorry, and then I
Aim at
believe
me.
the state objected to relevancy. We had a sidebar. We both made arguments. Your Honor, my understanding was ruled that it was irrelevant.
All right, I believe I sustained the objection where Mr. Nelson was going into the relationship and the dislike of Mr. Mangle and his connection to the defendant, Ms. McCandless. And before it went any further, the court sustained that objection. And as I understand it, part of the argument by the state was that Ms. Wisniewski was not aware of the relationship between Mr. Mangle and Ms. McCandless, and therefore she could not have been biased by the fact that Ms. McCandless was dating Mr. Mangle. That's my recollection of that sidebar. Mr. DeFore, anything you want to put on the record regarding that sidebar?
I believe the court has accurately summarized that sidebar, Your Honor.
All right, we had a sidebar at 4:11, again, where the court had sustained the objection that was made, and I would have to look back on that one. Anyone want to make a record with respect to that?
I believe if that was.
That was the recorded recollection one.
That was
I believe,
recorded
Your Honor, and
recollection.
we
All right.
withdrew the question and withdrew the matter, so.
All right, and just for the record, the court agreed with the defense that there was a police report of an officer, and although he recorded what the witness said, it was not the recorded recollection made by Ms. Wisniewski herself. It wasn't her own recording or her own notes of what had occurred, so the court sustained the objection on that ground. As it relates to the sidebar at 4:13, frankly, the defense essentially made the objection to the open-ended question about character, and Mr. Dufour agreed to be more pointed in his questioning to the specific issue of character for peacefulness or violence. And as I recall things, anything you would like to state further with respect to that, Mr. Nelson?
No, Judge.
Okay, and Mr. Dufour?
Nothing.
Okay, all right then. Any other issues related to the last two witnesses that council would like to put on the record?
Hey, Heather, whatever. Yeah, we're
Nothing
back on
from-
schedule.
All right.
State.
Now, the issue was brought up by the defense with respect to the camera placement.
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead, Mr. Nelson, if you would just make a record of what your objection is or what your request is.
There's a camera, I don't know, Your Honor, 8 feet directly in front of Ms. McCandless. Essentially, if she looks to Your Honor, she's looking straight at the camera its position between her and Your Honor. And I believe that camera is focused on her almost exclusively, entirely, the entire time.
No, I can see
I've
at
not
least
been
4
paying
people sitting
attention to
behind her.
courttv.com
So,
or any of the other, I've been here working, but what I've heard secondhand is that there's lots of commentary upon Ms. McCandless's allegedly staring into said camera, which is again, where someone would naturally look in court when they're sitting at this table and looking forward. And so our request is that
Hold on
that
a
camera
minute.
be moved so as to be.
Okay.
I was watching this when I was recording. I don't always watch it, but
Mhm.
that part caught my ear, and I was like, Jen's gonna have something to say about
Of
this.
course I will. Of course I will. First of all, what difference does it make? The people that are deciding her guilt or her innocence are not watching from the camera. They're
That's
watching
exactly.
from the jury box.
Mhm.
So why, and also, while yes, we're looking at this camera angle right now, okay? While she is in the foreground, of the camera view, right? I see 1, 2, 3, 4 other potentially the shoulder of a fifth person back there. All right. Now, I don't know about how y'all work, but I can't always be looking at Ezra. Sometimes I like to see what the people behind her are doing. Okay. So I don't think this matters, but I'm and I'm annoyed by it that he even brought it up. I mean, the only argument that I could make in favor of this is that when she turns her head to the side like this, this is a horrible angle. Okay. It's not doing her any favors. It's not pleasing. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It is what it is. Okay. But you don't see me jumping up and making a whole ass objection about it. But let's just see what the judge thinks. Because I think this is ridiculous. Here we go.
Not, Ms. McCandless's direct view, so she cannot
Her
be accused
eyebrows
of
are good. That's about all I can
pandering to
say
the camera or
nice.
something like that when it's literally in front of her face.
All right, well, here's the situation. The court approved the camera placement. It's consistent with the media order. This is a public trial. It essentially captures what it is that the court view from the bench, basically. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it. So the jury should not be looking at the court TV, the people that would be deciding this case. And again, I accommodated the objections that were made about court TV. Maybe this is one of those things that the defense hadn't thought of. But at this point, I'm not going to change it because, again, the camera can be zoomed in. It can be, as I understand it, could be a wider angle. But we have, again, allowed this coverage, and the camera doesn't move. It's not making any noise. And frankly, if you can ignore the camera, if it's causing some other problems, I guess I'll revisit that. Note your objection. But again, this is not something, if the jury is following the instructions of the court, they will not be seeing this, nor will they be seeing the commentary. And so I'm going to leave it.
When you're done with it, Coolest Reviews, take a picture and we'll put it up on the community
anything else
tab
that
and
council
auction it
wants
off.
to take up before we adjourn for the evening? This is what I would ask, and I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson, I invited you to speak and then I cut you off. But Ms. Nodoff, do you have an order of witnesses tomorrow? And the question is,
I have it, Your Honor, so I can.
okay, well, I'd like to have some idea because first of all, are there any
All right,
witnesses
you don't have to
that we
watch
have
the
had
rest of
some
that. They just list the upcoming
provisional
witnesses.
rulings on,
Oh,
or that we
okay,
need,
okay.
that haven't been made, that need to be addressed before these witnesses testify?
All right. Wow.
So he basically said the same thing you did,
Right.
which
What a
is
little-
correct.
I'm correct sometimes. I'm proud of myself for that. Sometimes I'm wrong, but sometimes I am correct. I don't know what the intention of putting poor Aubrey on was, because I don't actually know what she actually. No, listen, this is what we're going to do. Hold on a second. I got too many thoughts in my brain, but this is what I think we should do, Coolest Reviews. You should paint the painting, okay? And then you take a picture of it, all right? So folks know what you painted, okay? And we'll put the photo up on the community tab, and then people can bid on the actual painting. But the buyer needs to know what it is that they're buying. Unless you want to make like a video, but even then it's still going to be really video of a painting. It won't actually be a painting. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you should do. Make you some bread. And maybe you and Vincent's ear can collab on this. You should have a hell of a painting. Sometimes I'm smart, Coolest Reviews. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes I can be smart. Okay.
I agree. Aubrey brought nothing to either side.
Yeah, I don't understand what her point. I'm going to leave this up for a while. I like this.
She wasn't even working that day.
Well, not only that, but what I think what they were intending to establish is that she was familiar with Alex both as a customer first and then later on as an employee. And as such, perhaps she was familiar with the kind of person that he was. And I think what they were trying to get to accomplish was showing that in her capacity from knowing him as a manager, right, as an her employee or whatever, and then also as a customer, that she had not witnessed him be aggressive or violent, but they failed miserably at it. And that's the problem. You got to really, oh, look who it is. It's my good friend, Dorothy, who, by the way, Dorothy,
Hi, Dorothy.
just real quick. Okay. So yesterday when you were live, or the day before, and we were talking about, I said what I said about the not to believe you. I saw the comments over there, and Shmita, she didn't address my second comment to you, which was that I couldn't tell that you're trying to woo me if you're over there on a Shmita's video asking about looking for a Valentine. I just want to point that out. That's why I've got in my feels a little bit, because I don't see you over here in my videos and comment section talking about looking for a Valentine. So I don't know how you'd be wooing me over there in Shamita's comment section, Miss Ma'am. All right. So I wanted to say. All right, hold on. Oh, wait, I forgot to do this part. I'm in like a extra spicy joke around mood. I think I've been too serious like the last few days, and I need to get all the jokes out of me. And I'm a little distracted too, because I'm working on something for the West Memphis 3. I can't tell you what it is just yet, but you'll like it. All right.
Yes, Max, it's a filter.
Wait, what?
Max asked if I had blue on my picture.
She walks around like that all the time, Max.
I just shoot sparkles out of my butt.
She's glittery. All right, here we go.
Thank you, though.
Okay, here's the I need to find Teresa. She loves a reconstructionalist. Let me go hit her up. All right, here we go.
Good morning. Could you tell us your
Hey,
name, please?
should I speed him up or no?
My name is Kyle DeVries, Devries.
How are you employed, sir?
It's
I'm
on
employed through the Wisconsin Department
1.25
of
now,
Transportation,
right?
Division
I
of
don't
State
think
Patrol.
it is on anything.
And do you have any specific assignments with the state
Oh,
patrol?
yeah, it is.
I do.
Okay,
Currently, I'm
leave it
assigned
here.
to our technical reconstruction unit.
And what is the technical reconstruction unit?
It is a group of individuals with specialized skills and advanced training.
Oh my God, Dorothy.
That work with crash reconstruction and crime scene documentation.
All right. And how long have you been assigned to that unit?
About 3.5 years.
All right. Yeah, approach, Your Honor.
You may.
Mr. DeVries, I've shown you what has been marked for identification as exhibit number 279. Could you tell me what that document is?
This document is a curriculum vitae. It summarizes my crash reconstruction related education and instructor experiences.
And let's just hit some of the highlights. Can you start with when you first started working in the technical reconstruction unit? What type of training did you receive to become involved in that unit?
It starts with basic crash investigation, technical crash investigation, advanced crash investigation.
Could you just slow down just a
Sorry.
little bit?
There's a lot to go through. Crash reconstruction itself, and then there's additional specialties through that. There's forensic mapping, there's computer-aided drawing, there's specific caveats in crash reconstruction to motorcycle or
Hold
commercial
on, let me
vehicles.
pause this.
It's an extensive list.
Okay, so Dorothy, this is the Ezra McCandless case, okay? Ezra is accused of stabbing Alex Woodworth, I guess, ex-boyfriend of hers, at one point, and so it's 16 times she's accused of stabbing him, and then the prosecution says that she then uh, harmed herself, inflicted wounds on herself to make it appear as if it was a struggle when between the two of them, and he attacked her, and this was a case of self-defense. That's what the story that she gave, and the prosecution says no, this was an ambush, and she attacked him and him alone, and then she staged the scene, and it happened inside of the car, which is why this guy is on the stand, because the crime scene is the vehicle, because it happened inside of her vehicle. Okay. Here we go.
Of training that is continuously ongoing.
And do you have ongoing training as you go through or as you continue to work in the technical reconstruction unit?
That is correct.
What type of ongoing training do you have?
Could be whatever comes up and it's available. Anything to further our education in regards to any certain aspects, whether it's again with human factors or forensic mapping, differences, new technology that comes into light in the use of that as well.
And Mr. DeVries, as far as your work, in addition to receiving training, are you also involved in teaching?
That is correct. I'm also an instructor. I teach our State Patrol cadets as well as other law enforcement agencies in technical reconstruction as well as forensic mapping.
All right. And when you, in this case, were you asked to assist in some way?
I was.
And by the way, Your Honor, at this point, I'd move the admission of Exhibit 279.
Any objection to 279?
No, we recant.
279 will be received.
Now, were you asked to assist in some way in the investigation in the matter that we're here in court for today?
Correct. I received a phone call from Sergeant Richard Day from the Dunn County Sheriff's Office. He informed me that they were investigating a death that occurred in their county. He informed me that the Wisconsin State Crime Lab was also en route to assist with their investigation, and they were requesting the technical reconstruction unit to assist in forensically documenting or mapping out the scene.
And so that was essentially your involvement, is to do forensic mapping?
That is correct.
All right.
Thank you,
Let's talk a little
Dorothy.
bit about
Welcome to
forensic
the
mapping. How do you do
Full
forensic mapping?
Club.
There are several different ways, generally through the use of technology, whether that be survey grade instruments such as total stations or 3D scanners. Sometimes it goes to simple hand measurements.
All right. In this case, what methods did you use to map the scene?
I used two methods. The first being a Trimble R10 total station. It operates off the GNSS surveyor. It's kind of like GPS, but it's a global navigation satellite system. It takes highly accurate measurements, and we can use those measurements. They're collected in a data collector, and we can use those measurements in a computer drawing program to create scale diagrams.
All right.
I don't
And
know,
you said you
babe.
used the second
Sometimes it
method?
does that
Correct.
with me
Second method,
too.
we
But
used
thank
a
you for
3D
renewing
scanner,
it,
Faro
sweetie. I
Focus 3,
appreciate it. Thank you so
3D
much for your
330.
support.
Sorry. A Faro Focus 330 laser scanner. It's a laser scanner, and it takes hundreds of thousands of points in a 360 degree direction. Those points are collected and stored into a point cloud, and we can use those in a 3D computer software to render an image or put in a program so that you can see what was taken, and you can also take measurements from that 3D as well.
And do these then render you accurate images of your scene and what is at the scene?
Correct. The scanner, while
And what is at the scene?
correct, the scanner while it's taking measurements, it takes a second round. It also takes photographs.
I think
and
you're pretty
overlays them
okay
with the
too,
measurements.
Dorothy.
So when
Just
put
kidding. You know I adore you.
point cloud data in the computer, it attaches the images to the point cloud data so you can see and move around through the scene itself.
And so when you're
I'll look
working
into
from the
that,
program,
Joanne. I mean,
does it let
Joanne.
you
I will look
essentially
into
just step into
Joanne,
there and be
Amy.
able to see what you would see if you were actually there
Absolutely.
at
I'll
that
write
time?
it down right
Basically,
now
yes.
so I don't forget.
And can you then, with that information, while you're using the program and viewing the scene, can you take measurements to find out how far certain things are from other things?
Yes, you can.
And how do you do that?
Through a function in the software. Again, all the data points that are in there are to scale. Again, I can click on a point, click on another point, and it will give me the exact distance.
Now, Besides mapping of scenes like this, what other types of work do you have to do or do you do as part of the technical reconstruction unit?
I guess I'm not sure what you're getting at, other than as far as,
Do you do accident reconstructions as well?
Yes.
And is that the same technology and systems that you're talking about here?
Yes, we use the same systems for that.
Now, in this case, you created a number of diagrams, is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm just going to stay up here for a moment, showing you what has been marked. Your identification.
Just as a side note, while this guy's getting evidence that he wants to show,
Can you tell me what that is?
if you
that
use
would be a
Bob
diagram
Ross's
of
techniques, they actually
basically
work very well.
All of the scene that I collected, including in that diagram, are general measurements of distance.
And
Distance.
that would include basically the location where the
Hey,
defendant's
I've
vehicle
learned a
was found,
lot.
and then
Good to
over
see
to
you.
the Don Sipple residence.
Correct.
Yes,
I move the
Dorothy,
admission of
it
exhibit
is.
282, ask to publish it to the jury, and then I'm going to ask more questions about it.
Agreed. Any objection? No objection?
Next time
No
you
objection. All
come
right,
up,
exhibit,
Dorothy,
282 will be
I
received.
want you to check out her do, and I want you to have this hairdo for the next time you come up,
Sure.
please.
So Trooper, why don't you step on
That's a
down?
personal favor to me.
What do you have in mind, Mr. Nelson?
Can we either, if we put that back about 5 feet, I think I can see it from
All
here.
right, we have room. Let's move it back.
How's that?
Oh, that's great, thank you.
And ladies and
Can the
gentlemen,
jury all
jury,
see it?
be able to see it?
So Trooper, why don't you step on down, and why don't you explain for us a little bit about what we're seeing here? Start at the bottom right corner of that exhibit. What is that area?
In the bottom right corner here, I'm actually gonna move to this side. There is a trailer and a vehicle that was located off of an entrance from 430th Avenue. That's what we see here. There are some tire marks that follow behind the vehicle. Down this road here, this is actual 430th Avenue. This would be the top of the diagram is facing north. So going to the west, we have several different driveway entrances labeled by addresses. The distances from basically the car to the road, and the road to the far right.
All right. And so what is the distance then from the car to 430th Avenue?
It's approximately 658 feet.
And the distance then from the end of the road to the Donald Sipple residence, which I believe is identified as E7614.
Welcome
that's
to
just
the
the display here is
5100 Club,
1,226
Lupe.
So in,
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Percent of a mile
I don't know
or
why I'm saying
amount of a
congratulations.
mile, how far is that total distance?
Telling you,
Approximately 0.35 miles.
I'm a mess today. I'm extra. Thank you so much.
That's all I have as far as that one. Why don't you come on back? We're going to move to the
If it's
next.
helpful, we don't object to any of these. You can just put them up and
Okay,
as
great.
quickly as you can, or as you want.
Oh,
So we're gonna
wonderful.
move at this point
Streamline it.
our
Perfect.
exhibits. 283 through 285.
Objection.
All right, are those pre-marked or?
Yes, they are, Your Honor.
Okay, exhibits 283, 284, and 285 will be received.
So, Trooper, I've got up here now exhibit 283, I believe it is. Let me just make sure again. Yes. Can you explain what we're seeing on exhibit 283?
Exhibit 283 is more of a snapshot of the entire diagram. In this, there were certain things that were identified by investigators. Here we found that there were 3 pieces of evidence that was located. The circle with the E and the letter, the E stands for evidence. And then the alpha character A, B, and C correspond to whatever type of evidence that was found and would be on that evidence line.
And so when law enforcement found the evidence, they had you come out and actually map the locations of those pieces of evidence?
That's correct.
All right. And what was evidence marker that is labeled C? What was that as you understand it?
I believe that was part of a cell phone.
Okay. And how about evidence marker A?
I believe that was also another part of a cell phone.
All right. And evidence marker B?
I believe that was a knife.
All right. And so the knife was found at the location that the arrow is pointed to?
Correct. It would be right here, just off the shoulder of the building.
And just before the driveway to the Donald Sipple residence?
Correct.
Thank you. Let's move to 284. What are we looking at on exhibit 284?
Exhibit 284 again is a blown up area of the entire scene that you had seen before. However, this we're focusing on the roadway that came south from 430th Avenue. In this particular diagram, a footpath was noted in the roadway itself. So that's where it was highlighted here. And again, 2 additional evidence markers was located by investigators. The difference here with these ones being numerical numbers is that they were found by different agencies.
All right, those were found by the crime lab?
Correct.
All right, and the other ones, the letter ones were found by Dunn County Sheriff's officers? All right, and as you understand it, evidence markers 1 and 2 were what?
I believe they were foot casting measures.
Finally, exhibit 285. I'm not going to try to ask you what each one of these are. We'll cover that with the next witness. But can you explain what exhibit 285 is?
Exhibit 285 is basically a blown up version of where the vehicle and a trailer was located. Again, this would be south of the 430th Avenue. The Wisconsin State Crime Lab had identified numerous items of evidence. Each evidence that's labeled here corresponds with their evidence log.
And so they have either tent markers or stick-on labels marking what those evidence items are. And then you mapped out exactly where those were and created then this scale diagram.
That is correct.
All right, thank you. Let's move on then to the other portion of your work, the 3D scanner portion. Trooper, I'm showing you what has been marked for identification as exhibit 281. Can you tell me what that is?
It looks like a CD or DVD of the Wisconsin State Patrol's scene recon, as it's what it's labeled here.
All right. And that contains the work of your 3D scanner?
Okay, yes.
All right. I move the admission of exhibit 281 at this point, Your Honor.
Any objection to 281?
No, we agree.
Exhibit 281 will be received.
All right, then Trooper, what I'd like you to do, you've got your computer hooked up over here. Can you step to that? And I'd then like you to bring up that program so that we can see what it looks like, and then I want to talk to you about some of the items in there. So what are we looking at here?
Well, in the program, it's called Trimble Realworks. In this program, what we're currently seeing here is the point cloud of all the measurements that was originally taken from the 3D scanners. There were 6 scans that were completed around the vehicle, and that's what we're seeing right here. And what I'm going to do is open up the Scan Explorer, which allows it to incorporate the photographs that were taken with the scanner as well.
So I see a yellow triangle there. Can you explain what that yellow triangle means?
The yellow triangle are the setups where the scanner was located. So it helps in here, as we can see down in the lower right-hand corner, you can see where each triangle was set up. That's where the scanner locations were around the vehicle.
So there are multiple scanners there?
Nope, just one scanner, just moved around in 6 different times.
And so this is looking for one of those points that you see those multiple triangles in the small diagram.
Correct. In the lower right-hand corner, it's represented by the green triangle. That's where we currently are in the scene right now.
All right.
I didn't get that last part. Represented by the green triangle.
That is where we are currently located in the scene.
And the green item to the side, is that trailer we were talking about?
Yes.
All right. Can you, with this, can you move around them to see different portions of it?
Yes, I can.
And how do you do that?
Just by clicking the mouse and moving around through the scene.
Okay. Let's go back, turn a little bit. I want you to go back to the trailer. So we're looking at the trailer kind of flat on as best you can. Okay. There were 2 evidence markers on there, I believe. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Can you, and Ms. Hoffmeyer will testify to what those are. Can you tell us what the distance is between those 2 evidence markers on that trailer?
Sure.
And if there's a better angle to get it from, that's fine.
So because I can't see where the actual evidence is, I can see where the stickers are. The measurements will be between from the center of the sticker to the center of the next sticker.
I apologize. What are those sticker numbers? Might keep jumping ahead.
Looks like 13 and 15.
14. You're 13 and 14, council.
13.
Thank you.
So that distance is approximately how far?
Just over 6 feet away from each other.
Great. Now, can you, from this angle, can you also then, does this also show the vehicle itself?
Yes, it does.
All right, can you scroll around to the vehicle or turn around to the vehicle? All right. And so it also shows then the various other evidence markers that are located out there?
Correct.
Now, are you able to, as part of this, can we see the tracks of the vehicle and what happened with the vehicle as far as it getting stuck?
Sure, there's some several different things that we can do here to see, kind of near the center, a little bit on the bottom, you can see some disturbed ground. I can zoom in a little bit, which appears to be some type of tire mark from this angle. Trying to see if I can see it from a different angle. So we kind of got washed out a little bit from our backlight that we had at the scene. There was virtually no light out there, so we had to bring in supplemental lighting.
Okay. Is there a way that you can get it to see it a little bit more clearly?
Yes, we can turn off the pictures, basically, and move it into a grayscale intensity so we can see that. Turn off the color into a grayscale.
And so now when you have the color off, are you just looking at what the laser scanner did itself versus with the pictures that it takes?
It's a kind of a combination of both, but you're seeing more of the laser scanner than you are of the picture.
All right. And so what does it tell you? What does it show you as far as the tire marks at that point?
From what I can see, it looks like at some point the vehicle came to a stop, and it looks like it appeared it may have backed up.
Okay. And Trooper, if you can try to speak a little bit more and maybe even move that microphone a little closer. I'll try to make sure I speak up loud enough, and that if you can just use the microphone. And by the way, when were you at the scene on this?
I believe I arrived at the scene, it was shortly before 10 p.m. And we worked there for a couple hours while the crime lab was processing the scene. I had to wait for them to identify their evidence. And then we took our scans. So we're there well into the night.
All right. And was that 10 p.m. on March 23rd?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Let's move to the area. Can you get us to the area where most of the evidence markers were between the vehicle and the trailer? What is that kind of black circle in there?
This black circle here will be found at every scan station. It can't scan directly underneath it. That's why there's a black circle here in this particular scan. If I were to move to a different scan, such as adjacent to it, the circle is gone, just because now that data is now captured in this scan, not versus the other one. Okay. So again, same thing here for this scanner. It just can't see directly underneath the unit.
Right. Let's go back to the one you were at just a minute ago. There we go. So this is showing us then in 3D and in basically scale that scene.
Correct.
All right. Can you zoom in on, does it show any, are you able to observe any footprints in this scan?
I believe near marker number 5.
All right. And it appears that there was some blood in some of those footprints?
Yes.
And what type, did you observe, or did you have a chance to observe the two types of footwear of the individuals that were there?
I did not, other than the footwear that was already present there at the scene, which was identified.
All right, and that was a pair of boots?
I believe so, yes.
Do you have that on your scans?
There's one up here.
Okay.
Near evidence marker number 4.
Hey, Jen,
And
pause it for a
near
minute.
evidence marker 3.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Can you zoom back in on those footprints? And are you able to get an approximate size of those footprints?
Amy, you didn't do
I can.
anything. It was an accident.
Again, it's going to be an approximate size because I don't have the exact dimension of where.
Hey, Amy, Shmita had her phone in her hand and she was scrolling up through the comments to look at something, and it was on an accident. You didn't do anything. She didn't mean to get she didn't mean to time you out, babe. You didn't do anything wrong. You don't have to just listen. You can absolutely chat. It was on an accident.
Poor Amy.
Poor Amy.
There's
Hey,
The
where's
nicest
Skinny?
person
impression would
ever.
start and stop.
Hey, where's Penny? How you doing? Nice of you to slide in.
I can only go there.
All right, and again, you can't tell if those are complete, if they start and stop or anything.
Correct.
All right, great, thank you. All right, there also appears to be some other items there. Can you get us in on those a little bit closer?
Any specific number?
The, numbers, it appears there's kind of a gold or tan sweater there or something on top of.
Oh, here?
There, yeah.
Okay.
All right, great. And as you understand it, things were the way that at least law enforcement reported that nothing had been moved as of the time you're doing your scans.
Correct.
Okay, let's go back again. Can you get us to any of the images that show us the tracks leading to that area?
Sure. So again, from behind the vehicle, I'm going to go back into the grayscale so I can eliminate my backlighting. We can see that there are some tire marks here that do run along back up towards 430th Avenue. Let's see where there we go. And here we can see some tire marks leading up to the vehicle.
And the tire marks there appear to be off of what is actually the road onto the grassier area.
That is correct.
And is that how they were, how you observed them at that location?
Yes.
Can we go back to, let's go to the other side of the vehicle. If we go back into color for now. Can you just zoom in a little bit more on the vehicle itself? Thank you. Just to give the jury that perspective. So that would be from the other side of the vehicle, which.
Correct. You're looking at the passenger side of the vehicle.
And now let's go back to the grayscale and let's take a look at the, what are you seeing as far as the condition and the situation with the front tire there?
The front tire looks angled slightly to the left. It appears to be not quite sunken down, but there is some mud that's kind of squished up against the tire.
Does it appear that there's mud spatter on the vehicle itself?
Yes, it appears you can see on the along the passenger door here that there is some spatter.
All right, can we go to the front of the vehicle now? And stay on the grayscale. Just zoom in there a little bit. Did you observe any actual footprints in the front of the vehicle?
I did not.
All right. Did you look for them?
I don't specifically remember looking for them. At the time that I was there, the temperatures were dropping. The ground was getting harder.
Okay. How was the ground when you first got there?
It was still kind of semi-hard. This area here, the grassy area, was definitely much harder than the actual driveway or road itself.
No, navigator,
But we did have
has,
footprints on
she
the side of
painted
the
stuff
vehicle.
on
You
the
observed any footprints in the back of the vehicle?
hood and the roof
Yeah,
of
we'll go to the
the
back.
of
I
her
don't
car.
believe there was.
Okay. Okay.
Also, Max 2002, no. We do not. You can love it if you want to. I am not a fan. 2 thumbs down. I moved here because it's no winters, and I don't appreciate the cooler weather. It was too chilly yesterday. I didn't like it. Not a fan.
Can we look on the side of the vehicle here? The driver's side. Turn back. Does it appear that there was a covering over the, will be that rear side window there?
Oh, right here, the vent window? Yes.
I agree,
Let's go to the front
Amelia.
window as well.
I'm having a hard time too.
Driver's side. Is that the condition? It appears, is the window down?
It appears that the window is just slightly more than halfway down.
Okay.
So I think what they're doing right this minute, which
Let's
is kind
go
of
down. I want you to come down.
a little bit boring, is establishing what the vehicle, which is the crime scene, what it looked like when they came on the scene. And then he's going to go into what he did as far as the reenactment goes, but they need to establish in the jury's mind that they didn't do anything to it. Do you know what I'm saying? That this is the crime scene. This is what they came up to. This is how it was. So that when they go and reconstruct it, 'cause now I haven't seen any of this. If they go to when they go to reconstruct it, it will make sense in the juror's mind. I'm hoping that this is all going to click together. This is a little bit boring, for lack of a better word. But yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really watch it either. I don't
Yeah.
know if they reenacted it. I think he just does
had to have
3D pictures of it.
Yeah, but I'm sure. But I think we'll just wait. I don't know what they.
And no, Heather, she had painted those on there before.
Amy, babe, you honestly, you didn't do anything wrong ever, ever, ever. It was an accident. You didn't say anything wrong. I'm glad you're back. I was really worried that you were upset. It was an accident. It happens if you're a mod and you are scrolling. There are times if it's your phone is very, very sensitive, and it's super easy to put people in timeout accidentally. I've done it as a mod in other chats. Alice, Alice made somebody a mod like 2 nights ago just by standing on on my phone. So yeah, you never say anything wrong. You're always welcome and polite and all that. You're great. We love having you here. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
To the body there, let's take a look. Can you just zoom in on the scarf there? Thank you. And that would have been the condition of that scarf at the time that you arrived on that scene?
Correct.
All right. And finally, can we go to the other side of the vehicle?
Oh, okay. Not your whole chat. Like 3 people.
And I want to zoom in on the front window again.
And see what's funny about this? Hold on a second.
Yeah. And that window appears.
Hold on a minute. What's funny about this is that the fact that it's all in caps makes it just seem that much more extra. And yes. Yeah. And you see how Dorothy is? She just loves me. She's right back in here. Even here she goes.
Fire her, Dorothy.
Listen, Dorothy, nobody was more shocked than me when I was given a wrench. Okay. And I believe when you gave me the wrench, I said, I don't know who did this, but oh God. Yes.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Oh, yes. We needed that laugh, Dorothy. I'm the worst. I am the worst. All right, here we go.
Down, it was partially down, like the other window. Is that accurate?
It looks that the window was upper.
Okay. Thank you. I do not have any other questions for Trooper DeVries, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Nelson? Yeah.
Yes, please. Mr. DeVries, you were there on the evening of March 23rd, 2018, is that right?
That is correct.
And you continued to be there into the early morning hours of March 24th, right?
Correct.
Also, to be fair,
Yes.
Dorothy, I did
Yes.
tell you if you
You
didn't start
didn't go back
acknowledging
when
me
the
in
sun
your
was up.
chat, I was going to go
To that
rogue
scene to
mod.
do these scans.
So
No, that is correct.
you were warned.
And the reason is you just go out there as soon as they call you, right?
Generally, yes.
The choice to whether to wait until there's daylight isn't necessarily your choice. It's the lead investigating agency's choice. Is that right?
Correct. We initially scanned the vehicle at night when it was there. After we completed our scanning and all of the evidence was collected, the vehicle, to my knowledge, was removed from the scene.
You weren't there when the vehicle was removed.
That's correct.
You don't know how it was removed.
Correct.
You don't know if it was able to be moved without a tow truck.
That is correct.
I just want to go through some of these diagrams with you briefly.
Sure.
Exhibit 283, which is, you guys,
Yep.
That you were asked questions about this, is that right?
Ask questions
You
from,
were asked questions by the prosecutor?
yes, that is correct.
And one of the questions was the driveway, correct?
Yes,
I'm correct in this is not Mr. Sipple's driveway, agreed?
that is not Mr. Sipple's driveway.
Correct. Mr. Sipple's driveway is farther down the road, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Sipple's driveway is. You help me out.
282.
In Exhibit 282, you're able to see Mr. Sipple's driveway farther down the roadway, is that right?
That is correct.
So the footprints mentioned here by 280.
Nah, babe, you're absolutely
Three,
fine. Sometimes we need a
right, different
little,
driveway,
you
correct.
know,
That is correct.
Okay.
you're not
And then
disturbing
on
anything or
285,
disrupting. You're perfect.
The driveways
Perfectly
as they're
perfect.
shown between Mr. Sipple, which is at E7614, and his daughter's house at E7616. It doesn't show them connecting on your map, agreed?
Correct.
But in reality, they do connect, is that right?
I can't recall if they connect or not.
All right. Would it refresh your memory to see a photo of that?
Yes, it would.
I'm going to show you, you have to mark it, I guess, but
Well, if you're refreshing his recollection, it'll be on that mark.
I'm going to show you photo number 182 from disk VV. See if that you recognize that photo. Do you recognize that photo?
It appears to be like a aerial view of the area west of the initial scene.
So you recognize.
Yes,
And it appears to show the residence E7616 in that photo, correct?
yes,
And it appears to show a connection between the two civil residences. Is that correct?
let me take another look. There's some trees in there that make it kind of difficult to see. But it appears that the roads are connected, yes.
And just sometimes you just miss stuff, right?
Or tape.
Actually, in this
You know,
particular
tape
instance,
fixes all kinds of
it
stuff.
wasn't, I guess other investigators said that it didn't appear to be necessary to map that part of the roadway.
Okay. You don't know, you know that there was footprints, correct?
Correct,
And from footprints, I gather you inferred somebody was moving on their feet,
correct.
walking, running,
Something,
some way up on 2 feet, correct?
correct,
And occasionally you could see the path that that person took, right?
correct,
But sometimes you couldn't always see the path, right?
correct,
Whether because it might have been on a hard surface and you didn't pick it up.
correct,
There's no, for lack of a better term, trace of where it was, right?
correct.
So based on what you know, you don't know the exact footpath that somebody took, correct?
That is correct.
You don't know whether the person, if somebody walked down 430th Avenue towards the Sipple residence, if they took the first driveway in at the daughter of Don Sipples, or if they took the second driveway at Don Sipples based upon physical evidence. Agreed?
Agreed.
And so in that instance, it might be important to know whether or not those two houses connect each other. If somebody took the first driveway and then nobody's home and they walk onto the second house.
Sure.
But you're not part of the investigation team. You're there, for lack of a better term, kind of taking orders, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have some discretion and you exercise that, but you don't know the details of the case, right?
that is correct.
You're investigating what they tell you to investigate.
Yes.
All right.
Wow. Hold on a second.
Maps that we have there, the 4 big blow ups there.
Okay. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that attorney did not say what he just said, for lack of a better term. That is intentional, clearly. And what he's trying to do is undermine whatever it is that he just testified to and make it seem that he's sort of trying to take away from his knowledge and expertise about what he saw at the crime scene, because he's told what to do rather than just doing what he knows to do. So that if he were told to do something else, he would have done something else and the results would have been different. Very rude. But he handled it well. Okay, please, let's continue.
Those are 2-dimensional representations of that area, correct?
Yes,
As opposed to what we were seeing on the screen there when you discussed Exhibit 281, Disc N. That's the 3-dimensional depiction of it, correct?
correct.
And you talked about the footprints, is it, I want to ask you some about those footprints again that were on evidence marker 5 that you showed. If you need to go to the computer,
Okay.
Let me know. You took measurements of those, correct?
Correct. There were approximate measurements. Again, I can't tell where that impression starts and stops.
And I don't think you'd said, so the approximate measurements you had of one was 1.06 feet,
Correct.
and the approximate measurement you had of the other one was 0.80 feet, correct?
Correct.
And from that those two footprints, you weren't able to determine whether it was a left foot or a right foot, were you?
No.
But you could certainly, you've seen the bottoms of shoes before, correct?
Yes.
You recognize the forefoot of the bottom of the shoe, the front of the shoe,
Yes.
as opposed to the heel of the shoe.
Correct.
And those prints that you observed appeared to, the front of the foot was closer to the car, correct?
Yes.
And the heel was closer to the trailer.
That is correct.
So assuming someone's walking in a normal fashion, the footprints were in a direction towards that open back door of the car, correct?
It appeared that way. Yes.
And those were two footprints there that you saw, correct?
Yes.
And those are the only footprints in and around the car that you made note of, agreed?
That I made note of. Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of anybody else making note of some other footprints?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And so again, you're following, there's a whole crime scene out, a group of crime scene investigators out there, correct?
Correct.
You're all, I imagine, helping each other out.
Yes.
Hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see that?
And it's kind of that's how it went. Generally, when investigators are identifying their evidence, I let them do what they need to do. They place their evidence markers down. They say, this is the evidence that we found. Could you please go ahead and go through and document it?
But you as a trained and experienced law enforcement officer, if you saw something that caught your eye and you saw that there wasn't a marker, you'd certainly point that out to the other professionals that are there.
Absolutely.
So again, in that sense, it's a team approach very much, right?
Yes.
Want to make sure at that point you're documenting anything and everything.
Correct.
You don't know what is or what isn't important, right?
That is correct.
You just want to capture it accurately as you can.
Yes.
And you captured those two footprints going into the backseat of the car.
They were in a 3D scan. Yes.
I got to give it up to
There
Ezra.
was,
She's
some
found
discussion
11
about
billion
some
ways
blood
to
being on the
wear
ground
one
there, right?
blazer.
Yes.
Obviously, you don't know, based
Or-
upon your scene evidence evaluation, you don't know when that blood got there on the ground.
That is correct.
So the footprints, I want to ask you, we'll just.
I think that's how it's supposed to be here, Amy. I think we're supposed to be in the 80s by the end of the week.
Before I get to the footprints, I want to talk to you about exhibit 280 and the path of the tracks. Is that all right? Okay.
Hold on, let me address Miss Dorothy because this is going to be very important and she needs hairdo help. It's not a mullet, babe. What it is we call that a half up, half down bun. So remember back in the day when you would take a banana clip? I know you know this. And only part of your hair would be in the banana clip, but the rest of the part would be down like that. But then you, instead of doing a banana clip or a hair clip, you take that part that you would put in the banana clip or the hair clip and put that in a bun. And that's how you get that look. Okay.
And
now that
curl the sides.
and curl the sides. Not ringlet curls, just one chunk.
Officer, wherever you're comfortable, is it okay if you stand and I ask questions while you stand?
Absolutely.
Can you see that?
I can see it. I'm very good.
All right. So I want to ask you questions about this portion of it over here. First off, I guess on the, what do we call this? The right or the left side, orientation wise? Which way do we look at it?
I would say the north arrow at the top. I would say it would be towards the east of the diagram.
Okay, so on the east side of the diagram, there's this brown
Yes, Rita.
line, correct? Correct.
Tornado
That documents
sideburns, the
Muddy
female's
Road /
answer
driveway,
to
whatever
mutton
you wanna call it, right?
chops.
Yes. You call it a roadway?
Road access point. I don't believe there was an address associated with it. It was just some type of access from off the road.
Okay, so can we agree call it the Muddy Road? Sure. All right. So this brown mark here on the east side marks with Muddy Road, right?
Yes.
And as you're going, north is top,
Yes.
south is bottom. Correct. So if a vehicle is traveling from the north to the south, there is a incline that goes to about where the 658 mark is that right?
That is correct.
And then after you get to the top of that incline, as you go further south, you're going down the other side of the incline, is that right?
That's pretty much level off to the top of that. You can actually see that in the 3D diagram.
Okay, but this would be the north half of the muddy road, we would agree, is an incline from north to south.
That is correct.
And the bottom portion of that then is either flat or a slight decline.
Yes.
All right. And I think I know, but I want to ask you, it's not a trick question. Where's the sun in the day during this time? What would get sun exposure and what wouldn't get sun exposure?
Well, being in March, obviously, the sun's,
The day before's testimony, she had her hair all the way up, and so no, she's not hiding big ears.
Facing away, the sun would be more towards the south, obviously, in wintertime. So that the top portion of the southern portion of the road would receive more sun.
Yes,
The
yes,
portion
nonstop
below
long.
658 would receive more sun in your opinion, right?
In my opinion.
Oh,
Obviously, when
Dorothy,
you were
yes,
there,
they
it's late March in
helped her
Wisconsin,
with her
right?
hair.
The weather
trust me.
changes daily, if not hourly there, correct? Correct.
And it's
You
bad.
can have a big warm up and things start to thaw out, right?
Yeah, she had,
You can have a freeze and all of a sudden all the
Hell.
surfaces get hard again, correct?
Correct.
So it very much depends on the day,
Yes.
especially in late March. Yes?
Yes.
So you would agree that initially this portion of the road, the north side of the road would more than likely be a harder surface than the south side because it had less exposure to the sun. Agreed?
Generally.
And we see here that on the south part of the road that there's some tire tracks that appear to go off the road. Is that right?
That is correct.
You've driven in mud before, I would imagine.
Yes.
When you've driven in mud, you try to find the harder surface, right?
Yes.
So it would make sense to you that if someone's stuck in the mud, they might try to go to a harder surface like the grass. Agreed?
It's possible. Yes.
And you testified before, I believe that the area around the car,
oh,
the grass
bless
was a
you,
much harder
Tony,
surface
I
than the
couldn't
mud.
do it, I'm telling you
So
right
that's
now.
would be consistent
I have
with
4
your
heathens,
observations
I've
of the
not
scene,
taught
right?
any of them to drive. Their dad did that.
Did you
I don't
note,
have the,
this portion
I
here where
can't.
there's tracks leading from the mud road onto the grass? Are there any photos or observations that you made of that muddy portion of it?
I didn't take any photographs. I did note that the area was quite muddy and quite disturbed. It was difficult to determine if any tire marks had come off of the, as we're calling it, the muddy road. Where I was able to definitively see where the tire marks were is when it became off of the muddy road.
Great. So you could deduce that the vehicle in question was probably on the muddy road and then eventually left the muddy road where the tracks come off onto the grass. Is that right? That would be your conclusion?
Yes.
And it appears as if when it initially got off the grass, there was again some maneuvering to try to make sure it continued in a forward motion.
Yes.
And then it managed to do so for some time.
Yes.
And then it got into a softer surface.
Yes.
That would be your observations? Okay. And when your observations of the vehicle at its resting point is it appeared stuck in the mud?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Do you know anything about the timing of when the vehicle was there and when people were at other places?
No.
All right. Would you agree that the portion of the roadway that is exposed, the northern portion of the muddy roadway, would be softer in the afternoon when the sun is shining on it than it would have been earlier in the day?
That would make sense, yes.
Okay. And what we see is a footpath here on exhibit 283 on the northern portion of that muddy road. Is that right?
Correct.
And then it appears to, at least using your deduction skills, come from the grassy area, then onto the footpath. Is that, or onto the muddy road, correct?
Yes.
And then at some point that footpath ends in the middle of the muddy road?
It just, I wasn't able to discern any more areas where footprints could be observed.
Okay. And was that due to the hard surface of the area or just so much water and mud and disturbance?
A combination of both. There was water at the end of the driveway itself near 430th Avenue.
Okay. And so for whatever reason, you just could no longer determine whether those were footprints or not. Right?
Correct.
The footprints that are marked here on the footpath, those appear to be from stocking feet or bare feet.
I could not tell that. It was a path of footprints.
And on what we know from the exhibit
you get that
284
sweet baby a kiss from me,
is
Amy.
there were some casings done at E1 and E2, is that right?
To my
Is
knowledge.
that what you call them?
Yes, foot cast impressions.
Foot cast impressions, thank you. Okay. And so we'd have to look at those foot cast impressions to determine whether or not it was a shoe worn footprint or a non-shoe wearing footprint, right?
Correct, and that is outside of my expertise.
Okay. That's all for now on these. I think you can have a seat here. Thank you. So you testified about the lack of, I want to ask questions now about around the scene, which I think perhaps as we can just to 285. Can you see that, sir? Yes. All right. So I want to ask questions about the general area of where the car was stuck in the mud. Okay.
Okay.
Can you just again, top is north,
Yes,
bottom south?
correct.
So that makes that
West.
all right. I'm just worried I'm going to mix that up. So on the east side of the car, also on the driver's side of the car, is where there were the two footprints that we previously discussed and you'd measured. Is that right?
Correct.
And that's somewhere in the area of E5,
Nonstop,
is that right?
Mom.
That is correct.
That would be consistent with the
Um,
marker that you've seen there, right?
I think
Yes.
that it's out of
That ends up to
his,
this point closest to,
meaning,
arguably
hold on a
closest to
second.
the door
I'm
other
gonna
than the
pause
booth
this
that
real
we see
quick.
there?
I
Correct.
always feel like I'm screaming when they're
that's the
talking.
only footprint that you knew.
All right. So I think what he is testifying to is that that's out of the realm of what he's there to do. It's out of his scope. So while he may have been able to tell that and made a guess on it, like with the naked eye or whatever, he couldn't definitively say because it's out of the scope of his expertise. So, and I think too, what they're arguing about here is the level of, I don't want to say this word, so I'm going to try to not say it, how wet I was going to say the M word, but I decided not to. I was trying to really work around that.
I was
How
thinking what word, and then you said wet, and I knew it.
saturated is better. How saturated the dirt was. And when you make a footprint, whether you're wearing a shoe or whether you're wearing a barefoot, it makes a different. It's different when it's mud, So I think that's what they're trying to establish is that he can't really testify to that who's doing what around the car, basically.
Right.
That's what they're trying to argue because she's saying that he attacked her and that everything she did was in self-defense, and more to the point, nothing stopped him. She caught him in the head. She got him in the carotid artery. She perforated his lung, which caused it to collapse, and he still kept coming at her. He was still, so.
And
Are we
also,
gonna
she
say, Mel?
showed up to Dawn's house without shoes.
Right.
But there is a footprint expert coming up,
Of course there is.
but it's way later.
Yeah, of course there is. So, Dorothy, what she had is these, there were cuts, okay, but they were long, but they were real superficial. Like how did the prosecutor, in her crotch area and then I think on her thighs. And then she admitted that she carved the word boy into her arm. At first, she tried to say that Alex did it, but then she admitted that she is the one that did it. Her wounds were very, very superficial. In fact, I don't recall, well, they haven't gotten to this point yet, but I'm sure they will. But they didn't mention it in the opening statement. Normally when somebody is using a knife against another human being, by sheer virtue of what they're doing and the fact that blood is liquid, their hands usually slip and they usually end up with a cut on their hands somewhere. And they haven't mentioned that yet, but I'm curious about that. So, yeah. All right, here we go.
You made observations of anywhere around the vehicle.
That is correct.
Now, doesn't mean that people weren't there walking around prior to your arrival. It just means you did not observe any footprints, right?
Correct.
And the lack of footprints has much to do with the surface, right?
Yes.
right? And so despite that you were able to see some footprints in the surface there, somebody could have been walking in an area near there, but the surface changes from foot to foot.
It can, yes.
And so then all of a sudden the same person walking, you just can't observe the footprint.
Correct.
I hope it's nothing major, Dorothy.
So whether or not there's footprints in the front of the vehicle doesn't mean people were or were not wandering around the front of the vehicle.
Correct.
Same with on the passenger side of the vehicle.
That is correct.
Same with the rear side of the vehicle.
Correct.
Same with around the green trailer.
Correct.
Same with the area in front of in between the car and the trailer in front of the driver's door.
Correct.
Same with, in the area around E15 and E12 here up on the green trailer, right?
Correct.
So you can just say what you did see, correct?
Yes.
You can obviously say what you didn't see.
Yes.
But there's less conclusions you can make about things that you were not able to observe. Agreed?
Correct.
Those are the only questions I have. Thank you.
All right. Any redirect?
Yes. Trooper, when you're doing your mapping, are you mapping when you do the maps that we see with the total station, are you mapping everything that's at the scene or only certain things?
I try to get as much as possible. You can get too much. There are some things that just, aren't necessarily important or.
I believe that
obvious
is
to
what was
investigators.
said in
But
the
anything
opening
that's identified by
statements, nonstop
investigators is
mom.
obviously
But I don't know
marked.
anything beyond that, babe. Remember, I
Any
haven't.
type of geographical
I haven't watched
markers, large trees, telephone poles, anything out of the ordinary will generally tend to mark those because those will stand out.
Yes, Vincent's
But as
missing
far
here.
as trying to get everything, that's almost an impossible task.
All right. And when you're using the 3D scanner itself, well, actually, first with the total station, does it matter if it's night or day when you're using the total station?
No, it could be night, day, rain, sun with this particular unit.
Right. And with the 3D scanner for the scanner part of it, does it matter whether it's night or day?
It doesn't, other than at night, we have to use supplemental lighting in order for the photographs to show up.
All right. So the scanner itself that's scanning all these points will scan whether it's pitch black or high noon in the middle of summer.
Correct. And in this particular unit, the 330 stands for a range of
Bye,
330
Dorothy.
meters,
Thanks
which
for
is just over
coming,
1,000
babe.
feet.
I'll
So
see you
that's about
soon.
1,000 feet is about the limit.
Love you too,
far
babe.
limits of this particular unit's range.
And
Hey, are you going to go
but
live,
the photographs
Dorothy?
you need
before
to use
you leave?
supplemental light.
Yes.
All right. So if you're just using the grayscale part, which is just pretty much just the scanner, that's going to be the same whether it's night, day, or whatever.
Correct.
All right. And the photographs, you add light so that those show up a little bit better.
Correct.
Okay. The footprints that you observed in your scanning, were those marked as evidence markers?
Yes.
Okay. The scanner itself, will it show everything, whether it's marked as an evidence marker or not?
If the unit can basically see it, it will grab what it can. Yes.
Okay. So it'll show the image of it, whether it's marked as an evidence marker or not.
Correct.
And are there times when you see things on the scanner that become important that maybe were not noticed when you were initially at the scene?
It can happen. Yes.
I don't have any other feedback. Thank you.
Can you request?
Yes, can we approach?
Yes.
Mr. DeVries, I forgot to ask you the first round, some questions about the gold article of clothing on the ground near the doorway.
Okay. Doorway of a vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe the best, can you come down and pull that up? just so
Good
we
night,
all know what we're
nonstop
talking
mom.
about?
Thanks for stopping in,
You
babe.
might be pulling it up on exhibit number 281 CDN. All right, thank you. And you can actually go, I think it's probably easy for all of us to hear you up there. I'm not going to ask you to manipulate it anymore. Okay, so on the screen is
Hey,
the
Gwenty, how you doing, babe?
ground on the driver's side of the vehicle. Is that right?
That is correct.
And we see in there evidence marker 4 to indicate the right boot. Is that right?
I believe that's what it was indicating.
Evidence marker 5, which is one of the footprints leading towards
Hey,
that open
Miss
door.
Chicago, how
Yes.
you doing?
Evidence marker 6, which is a blood stain half on the ground, half on a dark blanket. That's what it appears to be.
Yes.
Somebody else will be here to correct us if we're wrong.
Yes.
And so, and then we see the open doorway.
Yes.
On the ground, on top of the ground, there's this big dark, what appears to be a blanket.
If you're referring to the blue object under number 6, yes.
Yes, okay. I didn't know if it was, we'll call it dark blue. Is that
All
right?
right. That's fine.
And then next to that, or on top
I
of
don't
that
actually know the
is,
answer to that
I believe it was called
question.
a gold sweater.
I've
is that
learned a
right?
lot.
Or-
I haven't looked
It's,
into this case
something wrapped in a
beyond just
blanket.
watching
Okay.
what
You don't know
we're
what that
like
is.
That is correct.
the
You didn't pick it
testimony
up?
and stuff.
You did not collect
But
that? Okay. It was there at the scene.
there are
when you
other
got
people
there,
that
correct?
actually are
When you got there
familiar
at the
with this
scene, Ms.
case. I wish
McCandless wasn't
Dr. B
there,
was here.
correct?
She could tell
You don't know
you.
what she was wearing on her person when she met with the Farmer Police Hospital on March 22nd, agreed?
Correct.
And so anything obviously that would be on her person wouldn't be still at the scene, right?
Correct.
Okay. All you're observing is there's some gold piece of cloth that's there at the scene, right?
That is correct.
But you don't know what it is.
Correct.
Those are the only follow-up questions I had. Thank you.
All right, again, Mr. DeFore. I'm sorry. Mr. DeFore, do you have any redirect based upon that cross, given that was?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Trooper DeVries. You may step down. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break before we take up the next witness. So we'll excuse you to the jury room. All rise, please. Okay. Mr. Nelson, you indicated that you had some matters you want to take up regarding Ms. Hoffmeyer before she's called as witness.
Yes, Judge. I've been handed plaintiff's exhibit number 519, a copy. I'll hand the copy to Your Honors. You know what we're referring to. It's a photo. We're not objecting on foundation grounds. I understand that it's a photo of a letter that was found in, I think, the trunk of the vehicle in question. We're objecting to the admissibility of the contents of that photo as it's hearsay. It's a letter written by somebody to, I think, somebody else other than Ms. McCandless, and it's hearsay. It's also irrelevant. It has no relevance whatsoever to anything in the case. So.
All right, well, before we go any further, what is the state's position with respect to Exhibit 519?
Thank you, Judge. The purpose for bringing it in through Katie Hoffmeyer is that she's the person who can say where it was located, which is correct. It was found in the vehicle when she did her inventory of the items that were located in the vehicle when it was found in the farm and then taken to the Wausau Crime Lab. The content will come in. The background there is that this is a letter drafted by Jenna Van de Zand. And she gave this letter to Jason Mengel on March 19th, 2018, so just a couple days prior to Mr. Woodworth's death. This came after a conversation she had with the defendant. So the content isn't really important to come in through Katie Hoffmeyer. That will be brought in later through Jenna, her testimony. It's entirely relevant to the defendant's state of mind and the information that was relayed about a conversation that the defendant and Jenna had to Mr. Mengel, and the entirety of that relationship between the defendant, Mr. Mengel, and then how that worked with Alex Woodworth and John Hanson, those three things kind of coming together all at the same time, is why this is relevant not only to state of mind, but also to this testimony of Jenna Van de Zand about what information she relayed to Jason Mengel about her conversation with Ezra McCandless.
So it's multiple layers of hearsay. It's irrelevant.
Okay, I understand that the defense position at this point, but really I think that argument then related to the contents of the letter would really be more appropriate before Ms. Van de Zand testifies. But for purposes of, I guess, where it is located, when it's located, and so forth, without it being published to the jury in terms of what it is for its content, I guess I don't see that as an issue for Ms. Hoffmeyer at this point in time. Again, as long as the jury doesn't see the contents of Exhibit 519.
The defense respectfully disagrees. If it's irrelevant, it's irrelevant. If it's not eventually proved up to be relevant by Jenna Van de Zand, then it's not relevant for Ms. Hoffmeyer. There's all kinds of things that I imagine that they found. We don't need to go through the list of the Tic Tacs that were in the car, the list of, I mean, it's not relevant at this point. If at some point we want to, I will agree to the foundation and we can take that up with Ms. Van de Zand, but I don't want it marked. I don't want it shown. It's not relevant. I don't think they've made an offer of proof to show that it's relevant at this moment in time. I don't think we need to bring back Ms. Hoffmeyer. My objections in front of Ms. Van de Zand are going to be for the relevancy issues, the foundation that it was found someplace in the car on this date. We will agree to that. But it doesn't need to be marked and put in front of with the jury with Ms. Hoffmeyer.
Just give me a moment to read the letter.
Read it out loud, Judge. We'll want to hear it.
Just briefly, I
Yes.
believe there's reference to an Alex in that letter. And if Your Honor doesn't know yet or might not recall, there's an Alex Zink involved in this case. And so the Alex referenced in that letter, it's defense position that it is not Alex Woodward, which again makes questions the probative value of the letter.
Judge, I don't see a reference to Alex and
I didn't have the letter in front of me, so fair enough.
I didn't see it, so I'm going through a second time to see if I missed it. I don't see any reference to an Alex. So what is the state's position if there's a stipulation that there would be foundation as to when and where it was found and by whom when we get to the witness that authored the letter?
my preference is just to have it identified as an exhibit, not published to the jury. Then it's cleaner. I understand the defense position. It's not a huge issue for us one way or the other, but I think my preference is to bring it in to have it marked as an exhibit, have it be identified as where it was located, and then not published to the jury until, unless and until Ms. Van de Zandt can establish relevance to this case.
All right, well, I'm going to allow the state to offer that evidence that if this is found, won't be published to the jury, they won't be told what it is.
I never can figure out what they're
we'll take up
writing.
the actual admissibility
I've
of the
learned a lot.
letter at a later time.
I'm going to
So it's
say
marked
something
with not
about
being
that
offered
when this
and
is
therefore not being
over.
received
All right.
with this witness.
That's my understanding. It would just be identified as to, where it was found, when it was found, by whom it was found. And, when it's tied up, if there is relevance, then if it's offered, we'll argue on whether it will be received, or allow you to argue whether it can be received at a later time.
I understand. I just wanted to, hopefully I don't just need to object during it. And so if that all goes smoothly, I won't.
All right,
but it's
well,
preserved.
I'll tell you what, your objection will be preserved as noted here on the record. And if you don't want to object in front of the jury, that's fine. Your objection will be preserved. Okay. And I'm assuming you're going to object when we get to the other witness.
Yes, we'll need to take it up before that witness.
Okay.
Or maybe
And, so where was exhibit 519? So we put it back where it was.
All right. We're good.
All right. About
Okay.
her, what, who said it? I've learned a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, crap. Hold on.
I think that I remember something about her notebook of what she's writing on came out, and she was drawing pictures
Oh, wow. Huh.
because she's an artist, obviously, but I don't know if I'm making that up, but I feel like I remember that because I watched this a long time ago.
Mhm.
And so, when I watch something and I look up everything about it,
Right.
and I remember that for some reason.
Huh.
Not that it's important, but I've always wondered
Curious
too
how
what they're
it
writing.
came out
Me too.
because that usually doesn't happen.
I know.
So I'm curious about that. Maybe I'll look into. I don't really want to look into
I'll
it,
look into it.
though. Okay. If you can find it and maybe pictures of what she was drawing, will you send it to me and I'll make a little video and show it to everybody?
I sure will.
Well, thank you. It's just that's interesting that if that happened, I'm curious
Yes, because
though.
I sometimes will imagine things in my head and think they happened. So I'm not sure if I imagined it in my head or if it really happened.
Well, I mean, you could be. How about we put it more like this? It can be an amalgam of several things that actually did take place, but you've made them into one situation.
Right.
So you're not, if you're not delusional, you're highly creative. I'm just curious about because Chandler was busy writing. Todd Mullis was busy writing. Now I kind of know what Todd Mullis was writing because I think he was there were times when he was writing very furiously when I believe it was two witnesses, Tear Bear and Jerry. Not Jerry. Another one of Amy's friends. And it was you could tell he was writing questions or something for his lawyer. It had, he was actually, hey, the analyst. Hi, how are you? Can't talk clearly, but that I could tell that's what he's doing. This is not what she's doing, but usually those notebooks are privileged, and I'm very curious if it did leak out, how it leaked out and who did it. That's the part I also want to see if it did what she's writing. So I feel like with the crime scene reconstructionist there,
He was a bust.
well, I think I wouldn't go that far. I would
Well,
say,
I was expecting more, I guess.
yeah. I mean, when you hear the term crime scene reconstructionist, that does lend itself to being far more interesting than what he actually does. He recreates car accidents.
Right.
That would have been better for him. Yeah, like that's what you should say, and which he did say. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess when I saw it, I was thinking reenactment, but that's not what he did.
Right.
Which they had those same cameras in the Waffle House trial.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
did that same thing.
Oh,
so I
did
should
they?
have known. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's what he does is interesting. It's not that it's just that it's I don't know how to put it. I thought based on the way that the video was titled that there was going to be some sort of recreation of what took place inside of the car,
Yeah,
not
me too.
what it was. But I will say this. Yeah, the way that I don't know, Rita, I built it up in my head to be something far more exciting than it was. It's not even his fault. It's my own. I had high expectations and that's my own fault. But what he did, what he did testify to was interesting. And I did think that, the defense tried to undermine and discredit his testimony, but I don't think that they, did a good job of that.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who you think won on that round?
I think the prosecution did, because I think that I think what the defense was trying to say is that, or trying to establish is that he went out there and he took a bunch of pictures, but he can't say who did what and when they did it.
Right.
But, you know, they're really trying to, I don't know what, I have no idea what the defense, I know what their strategy is, obviously, because they made it very clear with their opening statement, unlike Chazzle Dazzle's attorneys. Lord. Anyway, I know what they're going to do, what their defense is going to be, but I'm just curious how they intend to prove it. See, that's the problem when you make a big opening statement like that, is that then the jury, hello, me, is they're expecting something.
Exactly.
And that's the truth. And it's hard to, even they're expecting something that you actually don't have to prove. You don't have, he doesn't have to prove that it happened the way Ezra says. He only has to prove it didn't happen the way that the prosecution says. So it's a hard, it's a weird, it's a conundrum for sure. But I do think that the prosecution won that one. I do not think that he was successful in undermining what his testimony was. So
right. And when you would think also in mud that you'd be able to tell if it was a barefoot or a shoe print.
Well,
because mud seems like it would show up even more. Well, I don't know
it gets
how
distorted.
mud it was. Yeah, that's
it
true.
gets distorted, and on top of it, it's
You'd
not
have to just be damp, I guess,
well
for it to be clear, like toes or shoes.
Usually that kind of those things, shoes would be better and more easily defined. Feet are a little different, and also depends on what the foot is doing. You're going to get a different print if you are walking, fast walking, or running.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yay,
true.
Amy. I'm so glad she finally fell asleep. Kiss that little sweet baby for me.
Amy, quit saying that.
You
You
did not.
never do anything wrong.
Yeah, you didn't do anything wrong,
You're an
babe.
angel.
Shamita, it was on an accident for real. She didn't mean to time you out. It was just a slip of the finger. I'm gonna mod you so you can next time you're in here so that you can see how
That's what I
easy
was
it
gonna
is
say. Make
to
her an honorary mod.
accidentally. If let me do it right now while I have it in. Well, I'll wait till no, I can't do it from my phone. Wait till next time you come in here. I'm going to make you an honorary mod for the chat, and I'm going to show you how it happens, and that way you'll know that it was not intentional. That you didn't do anything wrong. If you mud with bare feet is very difficult to discern. Liquid is better for that, like stepping, like, if you walk through something, if you walk through a puddle barefoot and then you walk on a dry surface like the cement, you can see the footprint very clearly. Same with blood. A shoe impression will be somewhat better, but even then, the way that the mud is, and it squishes out. It's not as
Yeah, I
good
was thinking of
as
more like sand, like
even,
wet sand.
yeah, like, yeah.
I
Because
don't
I
know
know,
what kind of dirt that was, though.
well, like, I mean, I've seen them take shoe impressions in mud when they pour the plaster in and all that, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it turns out great, and sometimes it doesn't. And there's a lot of variables. Plus, I think it depends on, who's doing it, right? Like who's taking the impressions, what their experience level is, and then also what was taking place. So I don't think that they were able to establish, the defense anyway, what they were attempting to establish, which was that it looked for there were two sets of prints, and that Alex was continuing to come after her, which is what I think they were trying to show.
Right.
But they
Did
didn't.
he? Sorry.
They didn't prove that to me anyway.
Right. Did you see that brown boot in one of the pictures?
Mhm.
Was that her shoe?
Mm-mm.
So he didn't have shoes on either?
It's his shoe. Oh, you mean was he wearing shoes? I don't think so. That shoe looked too big to be her shoe.
That's
That
what I
boot.
was thinking.
So,
But wait, so did they go out there to fool around?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't.
Well,
This
that
is
makes sense of the shoes.
correct. I think what she did was, I think she lured him out there, and that's what she used to lure him out there. And the only way that you can make a lure successful is if you participate in the lure. So if you're, she probably took her shoes off, he took his shoes off, and then, she pounced.
Right.
That's what the prosecution is alleging. Now, as far as I've got to see what the defense puts on.
Well,
just to be sure.
spoiler, she goes on the stand.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that I knew.
Well, spoiler for everybody else.
Yeah.
And also, everybody needs to go watch the Todd Mullis documentary on A&E.
Oh, on A&E.
Yes. I guess I can just say what they said.
Yeah, Rita, he did arrive at the corner with no shoes on. Okay. But I think that because I think those boots were his shoes. I think he took his shoes off because those shoes look way too big to be her shoes. And while his socks had blood on them, right? Obviously, what they didn't have is when somebody wears no shoes, when they wear socks without shoes, the bottoms of your socks get roughed up and messed up from that because you're changing surfaces, yada, 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 right? So I saw those shoes. I saw those socks because I paid attention. and they were inside of shoes. He did not go out there with no shoes. He had shoes on and he took them off, is what I think.
Right. Yeah, I thought that looked like his boot too.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I think
I don't
that's
have
about
much
it
else
for
to say.
tonight. Mm-mm.
Yep. Tomorrow I think will be more interesting, y'all.
Yeah, but it's longer.
Well,
So,
it's obviously going to be a two-parter for you.
well, yeah, I can't do it. I can't sit there 3 hours. I mean, I can by myself, but it takes even longer whenever we, like I want to talk about it. If I'm just sitting and watching it, 3 hours is nothing.
Well,
But
yeah. That's why I try to get them to you where they're like at least an hour and a half.
well, I appreciate all your hard work, babe. I really do. So that's going to end it for tonight, you guys. And then we will see you tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is going to be Katie Hoffmeyer. She is the forensic scientist. So obviously forensics, that's, there might be pictures and stuff. No forensic stuff, Heather, tomorrow.
Oh no, we're far from closing.
Oh, we're far from closing. There's a
They
ton of
have like
testimony left.
80 law enforcement people. Come on.
Yeah, we're going to be here a while.
Oh, and
Yeah.
Aubrey's sister comes on too.
Yeah. And I'm just, yeah. So I'm going to stick with doing this until it's over with every night. I don't think I'm going to like skip a night. I will probably probably do some more like the episodes that I've been doing, but I'll make them before we go on at 9:00 for this stuff. So, cause it's going to be, this is a long trial. And then I was thinking too, the girls got me what?
I just thought about tomorrow's Wednesday. I was hoping Dr. B could be on, but that's her busy day.
Yeah, maybe she can join us afterwards. But anyway, I got Terry Hobbs' book, Box Full of Nightmares, for my birthday from the girls, and I was thinking that maybe I could do like a chapter a night at some point, and then we could talk about it afterwards if you guys want to. I don't know. It's just something I'm kicking around because there's this trial and then there's that other trial that's coming up too on the 24th. So anyway, that's what I was thinking.
You could always do that in the afternoon too.
I could probably, I could do it in the afternoon. I could do
If
that.
you could up for 2 lives a day.
I could maybe do that. I don't know.
Be like book club and trial club.
That's true. It's a good point. That's a lot of Jen. I can do it, but do people? That's like two times the Jen. That's a lot.
Well, if they can watch this other stuff for 5 hours a day, surely they can watch real true crime.
That's true. All right.
That's why I love our people.
I know.
Well, your people, I guess I should say.
We're all a little community here at the ward. We're all patients together. So yeah, I just but I'm excited about that book. I don't know. I'll work it out in my brain, figure something out, and then come to you guys with it, and then you guys can tell me what you think will work best. So anyway, we're going to say a good night tonight. Thank you for everybody that rejoined or newly joined membership. I appreciate it. Thank you, Amy, for the super chat. And you better come in here tomorrow night because I'm going to make you an honorary mod for the night so you can see. And I'll let you guys go for the night. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And
What's the good night song from Sound of Music?
Oh, you're such a jerk. So long.
Gosh,
Farewell.
farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen. Good night. That's what I'll
Yep.
feed us then. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, you
Love all y'all.
guys. Love all y'all. Stay safe out there on these YouTube streets and in the real streets. I'll catch y'all tomorrow night. Bye.
Bye.